Over-restriction backfires. Discipline is not the real issue. I see no exception to this. I've been there. You've been really good Monday through to Friday. Then the weekend is your opportunity to relax. It doesn't really matter though in your head because you had 5 really good days. You had 2 bad days. 5-2, we win. Unfortunately, that's not how it works, and it was a rough pill to swallow, but once I did, my results completely transformed, and it's transformed to many of my clients. With the 5 and 2 approach, I just gave the example of you might nail your food throughout the week with really clean foods. You get to the weekend, that's your opportunity to have bad foods. Hey, it might even just be a meal. It could be more of a meal at night rather than a whole cheat day. I've been there. You've been really good throughout the whole week. You've had 5 great days and you've had 2 bad-ish days in the weekend, but it was all part of your plan because you said, I'm gonna eat clean throughout the week, I'm gonna have my enjoyable weekend days, or even just a cheat meal kind of thing. That was a framework I used to have, and it's the incorrect framework to look at things. In that framework, you might look at things as I had 5 good days or 6 good days and 1 bad day. So you might think, hey, it's 5-2 or 6-1, I've won the week. I'm more ahead than I am behind. I've had more wins than losses. The truth is, what actually matters is it is net calories in versus calories out across the whole week, which would be the greatest impact of your overall result. In the gym, it's overall net performance improving minus fatigue, which will be determining if you're getting better over time. The sum effect matters. We know how the cycle goes. You've had a weekend, you've had a bunch of high food. Going into the weekdays, it takes a lot of motivation just to get yourself started. Your gut bacteria are saying eat, and it's quite funny. People can have big weekends and they say, oh, I don't really feel like eating. But when it gets to, let's say, 8 p.m. at night Monday, and on Sunday, 8 p.m. they'd eaten something big, suddenly, even though they weren't hungry all day, those demons start to come out again. They say, oh, you haven't been good. If you're off today, you're not ruining 4 days worth of progress. You've only ruined 1 day worth of progress, or not even 1. You can start tomorrow. And we can start to get the momentum again. Again, a whole black and white framework of looking at things. But hey, maybe you get through that Monday and it takes more and more effort. Monday's hard, Tuesday's a little bit easier. Wednesday again, Thursday, I'm really starting to gear up the weekend. Now Friday or Saturday, whatever it is, you get to have your reward. You have your blowout, but it doesn't respect the overall law of thermodynamics. If your calories in across the week is way higher than your calories out across the week, you will be gaining weight. If the reverse, calories out is more than calories in, you'll be losing weight across the week. The across the week framework is the way to look at it. Across the month can even be better. But just to stay in this example for now, it's not about good days versus bad days, it's net effect of out versus. In the same way where I gave the savings analogy in a previous video. Worse yet, when it gets to these kind of weekend days, you then have a situation of you're eating, but you've got to get back on track Monday. The real issue is your weekday diets were completely over-restrictive and unsustainable. Issue is when you have the situation where your Mondays are borderline depressing enough compared to your Sunday, for example, it makes you not want to have Sunday end. And I've seen people, actually, you know what, even myself included, rather than just have, let's say, a big meal on Sunday, if I'm going to be so on point Monday, and that's a framework you're looking at things, you will suddenly extend your Sunday night eating later into the night. You might binge because I've got to get it in now because I won't be able to get it in tomorrow. You can quickly see how this can get out of hand, and I've been there as well myself. So I have true empathy for people that are in this position. What I'd instead encourage you to do is have ways to incorporate those foods that you enjoy into your life on a weekly basis, including the weekdays. Because if you never have a situation of I get to have XYZ food that you really enjoy, but you also have these fat loss goals, and you've decided that they are completely incompatible, you'll then end up in this position where, hey, you just want that real big thing. And you're gonna have the chocolate muffin, it's gonna be whatever it is. And you're then gonna determine in your head that your fat loss goals have been completely compromised. So you may as well have a second and third and fourth and continue the whole process until the calories are way more out of hand. Whereas the truth is, you can make these one things work. We just need adaptable systems that can integrate these things you like. Then there isn't this FOMO that you're missing out on. There isn't this, I'm going to avoid having little bits and pieces across my week so I can instead blow out crazy way more than the addition of the little bits and pieces across the week. It's not the right framework. It's a non-winning system. What I like to do with my clients, and something I've adapted even with myself towards doing, is potentially biasing a bit more food towards the weekends, if that's your time where this can happen, but still making sure the overall average calories across the whole week is in a position where you're still moving towards results, allowing enough room within the plan, enough freedom, whether that's some nighttime eating on the weekdays or whatever it is, that you can still have some enjoyable weekdays. There isn't that good and bad distinction from the weekdays to weekends that becomes completely unsustainable, where you need the blowout, where you're trying to delay getting back into things. Along with having a check-in, one part that can be really nice about this, and it's one of the cool parts about getting this right, is understanding that your maintenance calories are probably higher than you think. You just haven't been able to assess them correctly because of these binges. So what you can do instead is, when you get these weekends right, and they're not as blowouty and all that stuff, you can then allocate an even higher amount of food towards the weekdays. Because there's a higher amount of food towards the weekdays, you have less of a dramatic need to go crazy on the weekend. Again, yes, we can still bias towards weekends, but this completely changes the game. We're not trying to avoid just a part of the week because we've made it completely unsustainable. We've made an adaptable system that allows you to actually get your calories higher over time. It's the coolest part to reveal people. Like, you can have more than you think, but you've just got to make sure the weekends are right and not turning into this all or nothing approach. So instead of trying to be really tight and good throughout the weekdays to a unsustainable level that leads to this blowback that is beyond anything that leads to any reasonable averages on the weekends, that leads to this mental stress of the good-bad distinction, the highs and the lows, the God damn it, I've got to get back to that low-calorie diet Monday. Instead, incorporate some more fun stuff into the weekdays. Suddenly, your whole 7 days a week can have parts you look forward to, some enjoyable parts. There isn't that whole, oh my God, thank goodness it's Friday, as it applies to food. Instead, let's get to that position where we can have more fun stuff throughout the week, that the consistency of that beats the extremes and highs and lows. You'll feel better, you'll look better, and the whole approach is a bunch funner, and there isn't that high and low distinction. Let's do it from now on. Let's try that. See you next time.